Dispatch, we have a to domestic disturbance at the Silva residence. Female screaming possible weapon involved. Copy that unit en route. Proceed with caution. That is the audio recording that never made it to air. That is the moment the reality show facade crumbled and the real horror began. Imagine a quiet street in Middletown, Connecticut, illuminated not by production lights or camera crews, but by the flashing red and blue strobe of 3 police cruisers and an ambulance. It is in the morning on a Tuesday. The cameras were rolling inside the house, but you never saw the scene. You never saw the footage because it was allegedly scrubbed from the servers the moment legally got involved. This is the story of the night the police reportedly took one of the twins away. This is the story of the hour. Hold that TLC paid a fortune to keep off the internet. We are peeling back the layers of the Silva family brand to expose the darkest secret they have ever kept. This is the T-Tape Stay. Fiance, and today we are investigating the lost footage of the police raid cover-up. Before we crack the seal on this buried police report and show you the evidence that has been hiding in plain sight, I need you to do something for me. If you want us to keep digging up the secrets the network tries to hide. If you want us to release the body cam footage requests we have filed, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. We are risking a lot bringing this story to light, and we need you in our corner. Do not let them silence this channel. Hit subscribe and let's get into the files. Let's go back to the night of the blackout to understand why there was such a long strange hiatus between seasons of Darcey and Stacey. We have to pinpoint the exact moment the timeline breaks. We have reconstructed the social media activity of every major player in the Silva orbit, and we found an anomaly. For years, Darcey and Stacey have been addicted to the scroll. They post stories. They go live and filter photos until they are unrecognizable. They are online every single day. But on November there was a digital silence that was deafening. 4 hours, 4 full days, neither twin posted a single thing. No quotes about strong women. No photos of luxury items. No chaotic cameos. Silence. Why? We dug into the local chatter in Middletown and we found something that chills the blood. We spoke to a source who lives 3 doors down from the Silva residence. For the sake of her privacy, we will call her Mrs. Higgins. Mrs. Higgins claims that on the night of November at roughly in the morning, she was woken up not by the usual production trucks, but by screaming. She claims she looked out her window and saw a scene that looked like a crime show. She describes seeing Darcey running out the front door barefoot in the snow, followed closely by Georgi, who looked visibly shaken. But they weren't filming a scene. They were meeting the police. According to this neighbor's testimony, which has been circulating on dark web forums and private Discord servers for months, 3 patrol cars boxed in the driveway. She saw officers speaking to Stacey, who was standing in the doorway crying and gesturing wildly towards the garage. Then she saw the most disturbing part. She claimed she saw an ambulance pull up, but they didn't turn on the siren. They loaded someone in the back, but it wasn't for a physical injury. The rumor is that this was an involuntary psychiatric hold. At the pressure of the show, the toxicity of the relationships, and the constant alcohol consumption allegedly created a powder keg that finally exploded. But was it a fight between the sisters, or did Darcey finally snap at Georgi? The neighbor claimed she heard glass breaking right before the police arrived. This aligns with a theory that a wine bottle was thrown during a heated argument about money and fidelity. The silence on social media for those 4 days wasn't a marketing tactic. It was because phones are not allowed in the holding facility. They went dark because they were in the system. Now, you might be asking if the police were there. Where the mug shot? Where is the arrest record? In the age of the internet, nothing stays hidden forever, right? Wrong. This brings us to the most terrifying part of this conspiracy, which is the power of money and legal loopholes. There is a mechanism in the Connecticut legal system that high net worth families and network legal teams use to protect their assets. It is called immediate expungement through diversionary programs. But for the ultra wealthy, it happens even faster. Our sources suggest that TLC legal representatives were on the phone with the precinct before the sun came up. The narrative is that they negotiated a deal to seal the records to protect the victim's identity. If the charge was domestic violence or assault and the victim dropped the charges immediately, the records can be sealed from the public eye almost instantly. We believe the network paid thousands in legal fees to ensure those mug shots never hit the tabloid sites. They knew that if a mug shot of Darcey or Stacey with mascara running down their face and a number placard around their neck leaked, it wouldn't just ruin the show, it would destroy the family-friendly, albeit chaotic brand they sell. They sell love and heartbreak, not assault and battery. But they couldn't scrub everything. The producers made a mistake. They scrubbed the police records, but they forgot about the continuity errors in the show itself. We have analyzed the footage from the episode that aired immediately following this alleged blackout period. If you go back to season, look closely at the scene where they are sitting in the park talking about the wedding planner. Look at Darcey's left arm. The editors used a blur filter, usually reserved for license plates or brand logos, but they used it on her skin. Why would you blur a patch of skin on a forearm unless you were hiding a bruise? A defensive wound? We adjusted the contrast and saturation on that scene, and you can clearly see the outline of a hematoma, a deep purple bruising that had been covered with heavy stage makeup and then digitally blurred in post-production. Furthermore, look at Stacey's neck in the confessional interviews from that same block of filming. She is wearing a high-collared turtleneck in every single shot. This was filmed in late July or early August. Based on the foliage outside, it was degree in Connecticut. Why is she wearing a wool turtleneck inside a climate-controlled studio? The theory is simple. She was hiding marks that would have raised questions the network didn't want to answer. The makeup team is good, but they aren't miracle workers. When the bruising is that severe, you have to use a wardrobe To hide the evidence. The bruise. Evidence is the smoking gun that proves something physical and violent happened during those missing days. The narrative. They feed us is one of emotional turmoil. They cry, they bicker, they drink, but they love each other. That is the script. The reality we are uncovering is much darker. We believe the fight that night started over the finances. We have reports that Georgi had discovered a secret account, or perhaps Darcey found evidence of him contacting an ex. The screaming match escalated, objects were thrown, and here is the detail that ties it all back to the police call. The dispatch audio we simulated at the start mentions a possible weapon in the state of Connecticut. Raising a bottle or a heavy object in a threatening manner constitutes assault with a weapon. If the police arrived and saw broken glass and a hysterical cast member, they have no choice but to make an arrest or a detainment. It is a mandatory policy in domestic dispute calls. Someone has to leave the premises. The neighbor saw the ambulance. Social media went dark. The bruises appeared when the cameras turned back on. The timeline fits perfectly. The producers were scrambling. We have heard whispers from a former production assistant who worked on the set during this specific season. This individual, who we will call the source, claims that the crew was barred from entering the Silva house 4 hours after the incident. They were told it was a health and safety issue. In industry speak, that usually means CO. But the source claims everyone tested negative. The real reason they couldn't enter was because the house was a crime scene, or at the very least a hostile environment where the biohazard cleanup crew had to come in. Yes, you heard that right. A cleanup crew. If there was broken glass and blood or wine stains on the white carpet, they needed that fixed before the cameras could capture the perfectly curated aesthetic of the Silva home. The source claims that when they were finally allowed back in, the furniture arrangement in the living room had been completely changed. The white rug was replaced by a beige one. A large mirror that used to hang in the hallway was missing. Why redecorate in the middle of a season unless you are hiding damage? This cover-up goes deeper than just a few producers. This decision came from the top. The executives at TLC know that the Silva twins are a cash cow. They have built a spin-off empire. They could not afford a scandal that involved jail time or felony charges. It would make the advertisers flee. So, they opened the checkbook. They allegedly paid for the best crisis management team money can buy. These are the people who make DUIs disappear for celebrities. They came in and they scrubbed the internet. They issued takedown notices to small blogs that mentioned the police presence. They threatened the neighbor, Mrs. Higgins, with a cease and desist if she spoke to the tabloids. That is why you haven't heard this story until now, because everyone who knows the truth has been terrified into silence. But the cracks are showing. The edits are sloppy. The bruises were visible. The silence spoke volumes. Let's talk about the charge. Again. Disorderly conduct is the catch. All. That is what you get charged with. When you are screaming in the street at a.m. But if the ambulance was involved, we are looking at something psychiatric or a physical assault that required medical evaluation. If Darcey or Stacey was placed on an hour hold, it means they were deemed a danger to themselves or others. Think about their behavior on the show. The erratic mood swings, the crying jags, the intense paranoia. Is it acting or is it a cry for help that the network is exploiting? For ratings? If the police took one of them away that night, it changes everything we know about the show. It means we aren't watching a reality show. We are watching a mental health crisis being filmed for our entertainment and being covered up when it gets too real. The footage of that night exists. Police body cameras do not just turn off. The footage is sitting on a server in the Middletown Police Department. It is public record unless it has been sealed by a judge. We have submitted a Freedom of Information Act request for all body cam footage from that specific address. On November th. The network knows we are looking for it. They are likely trying to block the release as we speak, claiming it violates the privacy of the talent. But the law is the law. If that footage is released, it will show the world the truth. It will show the flashing lights, the handcuffs, and the reality of what happens when the cameras stop rolling. But the drama doesn't. We are only halfway down this rabbit hole. The police raid is just the tip of the iceberg. What happened after the arrest is even more shocking. The legal threats, the non-disclosure agreements, and the $1 million ultimatum that Georgi was given to keep his mouth shut. We are going to expose the producers' nightmare and the ironclad contract that keeps this family silent. Stay tuned because in the next part of this investigation, we are going to reveal the specific clause in Georgi's contract that is worth more than the house they live in. You think you know the Silva twins, but you have no idea what they are hiding. We are entering what the industry calls the producer's nightmare. To understand the gravity of what happened after the police left the Silva residence, you have to understand how reality television production works. These crews are not family. They are union workers. They are camera operators, sound engineers, and lighting technicians who have strict contracts regarding workplace safety. Our insider reports indicate that following the night of the raid, the crew invoked a clause in their contract known as the Hostile Environment Protocol. This is a clause usually reserved for filming in war zones or areas with civil unrest, not suburban Connecticut. But the crew refused to enter the house. They allegedly told the showrunner that they felt unsafe due to the erratic and volatile behavior they had witnessed. They refused to be liable if a physical altercation broke out again. For 2 full days, the production truck sat idle in the hotel parking lot. The producers were in a panic. Every day they don't film cost the network tens of thousands of dollars, but they couldn't force the crew back into that house until they had guarantees. This is where the ultimatum was delivered. We have learned that a high executive from TLC Legal flew down personally to deliver a message to Darcey and Stacey. It wasn't a friendly visit. It was a warning shot. The Message was simple and brutal. One more police call, one more dispatch, and the show is canceled immediately, not put on hiatus. Cancelled. The franchise would be dead. The twins were told that they were now considered a liability to the parent company. This meeting is the reason the tone of the show shifted so dramatically in the episodes that followed. You noticed they started going to therapy more often. You noticed the forced scenes of reconciliation. That wasn't personal growth. That was a mandate from corporate to prove they were stable enough to stay on air. The most shocking fallout from the police raid, however, is the secret alcohol ban. Fans have pointed out for years that the twins are constantly drinking out of opaque coffee cups or water bottles, even at dinner or in the bedroom. The internet jokes that it is for continuity, so editors can cut scenes together without the liquid levels jumping up and down. That is the official story. The real story is much darker. Following the incident, the production team reportedly instituted a search and seizure policy. Before cameras roll, a production assistant is allegedly tasked with sweeping the filming areas to remove glass bottles and visible alcohol. They don't trust the cast with glass anymore. The opaque cups aren't for continuity. They are for concealment and safety. They are plastic. You can't weaponize a plastic coffee cup. If you watch closely in the season following the blackout, you will notice that almost all their drinks are served in plastic or heavy ceramic mugs that are never set down near the edge of tables. This is the alcohol protocol in action. A direct result of the night the police had to intervene. Now, we have to talk about the man in the middle of the storm, Georgi. Why does he stay? Why does he endure the humiliation, the accusations, and the constant breakups only to come back again? The internet calls him a grifter, or says he is desperate for fame. But the truth is hidden in a legal document that is thicker than a phone book. The Georgi NDA. Every cast member signs a non-disclosure agreement, but our sources suggest Georgi's contract was amended following the police raid. It contains a specific clause that we are calling the incident clause. We believe that Georgi was the one who called the police that night, or at the very least, he was the primary witness to the event that caused the blackout. This gives him immense power, but it also puts him in a golden cage. The theory is that TLC paid Georgi a retention bonus disguised as appearance fees to ensure he didn't walk away and sell his story to TMZ. If Georgi left the show, he would be a free agent. He could write a tell-all book. He could go on podcasts and describe exactly what happened when the ambulance arrived. To prevent this, the network locked him down. The rumor is that his NDA carries a penalty of $1 million per infraction if he speaks about the events of November. He stays because he has to. He stays because he is being paid handsomely to be the villain on screen, so he doesn't become the whistleblower off-screen. Watch his eyes in the confessionals. He looks tired. He looks defeated. That isn't just a relationship drama. It is the look of a man who is holding on to a secret that could burn the entire production to the ground. He is trapped in a narrative he can't control because the moment he speaks, The lawsuits will bankrupt him. This cover-up extends to the editing room as well. We have received tips that there is a do not use folder on the production servers. This folder contains not just the footage from the blackout days, but audio clips from the weeks leading up to it. Audio of arguments where the twins allegedly discuss the pressure of the show and threaten to quit. Audio where the mask slips and they talk about the fake storylines they are being fed. The network is terrified of this footage leaking. If a disgruntled editor decided to upload that folder to the internet, it would expose the entire machinery of the Day Fiance universe. It would prove that the police raid was the climax of a psychological breakdown that the network ignored until it was too late. We are building a case here. We have the neighbor's testimony. We have the missing social media timeline. We have the photographic evidence of the bruises and the wardrobe cover-ups. We have changed production protocols with the cups and the crew safety measures. And we have the silence of Georgi Rusev. When you put these pieces together, the picture is undeniable. A major domestic dispute occurred at the Silva house. Police were called. A cast member was removed for a hour hold and TLC paid millions to bury it to keep the gravy train moving. They think they have scrubbed it all away. They think because the mug shots aren't on Google that the story is dead. But they forgot about the public record. We have officially filed a Freedom of Information Act request with the Middletown Police Department for all dispatch logs and body camera footage associated with the Silva residence for the dates in question. The law is clear. Unless there is an active investigation, these records belong to the public. We are expecting a response within the next business days. The network might try to block it. They might try to file an injunction. But if they do that, they are only confirming that there is something to hide. We are prepared to take this to the next level. We are prepared to crowdsource the legal fees if we need to fight for this footage. This is not just about reality TV drama anymore. This is about the exploitation of human beings for entertainment and the corporate cover-ups that enable it. If the body cam footage shows what we think it shows, it will change everything. It will show the desperate reality behind the filters. We need you to be ready. When we get that footage, we are going to stream it live right here on this channel. We are going to show you the unedited truth that they tried to delete. So, here's your mission. We need to show the algorithm that people want the truth. If you want to see the body cam footage, if you want to see the proof of the police raid, you need to engage with this video. Like it, share it, and most importantly, subscribe with notifications turned on. The moment that email from the police department hits our inbox, we are going live. You do not want to miss the notification. The Silva twins might have the producers protecting them, but we have the truth. The clock is ticking on. The cover-up. The files are being processed. The secrets are about to come out. Stay watching. Stay suspicious. And we will see you in the next video when we finally play the tapes.